A billion-dollar phishing scam plaguing home buyers across the country hits Maine. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Mills.
And I'm Lee Goldberg. This is disturbing. That's according to the Maine Bureau of Consumer Credit Protection. Officials there say that con artists are scamming people out of money that they need to close on a home.
Now, one woman is sharing her story, and the superintendent of Maine's Bureau of Consumer Credit Protection has more on what to look out for and the 2 calls you need to make right away if it happens to you.
We were just so shocked.
Building a dream home turned into a nightmare for Cassandra Bowen and her family. The graphic designer who works for the federal government was ready to move her family to Maine from Virginia to be closer to her parents. They found a lot in Woolwich before spring, signed a contract and got the financing in order. They broke ground in May, shortly after receiving clearance from the title company, which included this warning. Bowen says she saw that paperwork and filed it away. Now she wishes she had read it more closely.
Everything actually was fine until closing day.
From Virginia, Bowen worked with a Maine real estate agent. On July 19th, her agent received an email she thought was from the title company. It read in part, "Please inform the buyer that I will be sending the wire instructions and wire amount directly to them in a secured email to avoid any fraudulent interception." It was signed with the name of a woman she knew.
They somehow knew that that person worked with my real estate agent at that title company.
But there was a sign they would later learn is a classic red flag. The email address, docufiles@comcast.net, was not an official email from the title company. Bowen says it looked so real, her real estate agent forwarded the email along, instructing her to make the wire transfer.
I've only bought a house once, besides this one, and it was 5 years ago, and I don't remember at all the process. And so, you just depend upon the people who know the process to kind of give you direction.
Bowen wired money twice. On July 19th for $9,500. On August 3rd, she noticed the closing cost was $10,825 and asked the closer at Guaranteed Rate if she needed to wire the difference. They responded telling her to go ahead and wire the difference, and she would be refunded any overages. She did not wire the second round of funds, $2,700, until closing day, August 8th. And that is when she realized the money was gone.
And I said, I wired it. Per the instructions that we received, and the title company just looked at us and said, "What do you mean you wired it? We don't do wires."
Once they realized it was fraud, she called her bank, USAA. They were able to get the $2,700 back because it was wired that day. Bowen also called police and filed a complaint with the Attorney General's office, which works closely with Maine's Bureau of Consumer Credit Protection.
These are folks who hack into the email accounts of real estate professionals, of title companies. They send fake emails trying to get consumers to do what they want.
Will Lund is the superintendent of Maine's Bureau of Consumer Credit Protection. He says phishing scammers have evolved over the last several years to use information of names and companies you would recognize.
Cases like this have happened here in the state of Maine and across the country. The FBI reported last year that it's close to $1 billion fraud, cyber fraud they call it, across the country.
If you do fall victim to a phishing scam like this, Lund says report it to your bank and the FBI right away.
Time is of the essence.
Because if you report it within 12 to 24 hours,
they may be able to reach into the money transfer system, the money wiring system, and recover the funds.
He says the next call you should make is to your attorney. To make sure this doesn't happen to you, he says do not trust emails. Pick up the phone and call the lender or title company directly to confirm authenticity of any messages or information you receive.
For those of us who buy a house once every 5 years or every 10 years or every 15 years, it's a new world, and we tend to rely on the advice given to us by the real estate professionals. In this case, we have to really look out for ourselves.
As for Bowen, she and her family were able to close and move into her home with money borrowed from her parents.
They took our money, and what else can they take?
So a couple of key things I want everyone to remember at home. The criminals behind these phishing scams are so savvy. If you're dealing with that kind of money, how about face-to-face if you can? Bowen was in Virginia, so that didn't really make sense in her situation. But what about using Skype or FaceTime? Use your phone in a way where you can see who you are talking to.
So that's a ton of money. I mean, they lost $9,500. Do they ever get that back?
Right. So typically cases like this will end up in court, and then insurance for one of the parties involved may end up paying that. And by the way, we did not name the real estate company or the title company. I will say the title company did have warnings in all of its correspondence: do not wire money. As for the real estate company, they are cooperating with investigators and did not want to comment.
Oh, that's a great story. I mean, it's because it affects so many people. So many people are buying houses, selling houses, and you don't think.
Especially in Maine, where the market is so hot.
So you get something and you assume it's trustworthy. So great heads up, man. It's a great job.